Okay, we're gonna start by setting up your paint palette for your paint. So we're gonna take a quarter or a lid, something, and we need to start with those first. We're gonna go red. This doesn't need to be fancy. Yellow. And blue. Okay, and then in between those, we've got our secondary colors. So red and blue make violet, yellow and blue make green, yellow and red make orange. Okay, then in between here, I would have all of my secondary colors. So red, orange, red, violet, blue, violet, blue, green, yellow, green, yellow, orange. We're doing the circles just to kind of help you in getting your paint on your tray correctly. We don't want any more paint. It should not extend outside of those circles. So for starters, we're gonna set up our palette. Just a little bit of red. It shouldn't fill that whole circle at all. A little bit of yellow. And a little bit of blue. We said our green is not the very best green, so if you want to go ahead and use the green out of the tub, that works well. And then we're definitely going to need some white and some black. So those are neutral colors, and we're going to put them kind of in the middle, not too close together. And again, no bigger than a quarter. You know what? Let's say no black, actually. Let's use complementary colors for our black, okay? So that's gonna be how you're gonna set up your paint palette for starters. If you wanna go ahead and mix your secondary colors as well, you can go ahead and do that. You're gonna remember, when you're mixing secondary colors, it should be equal proportions. So think 50-50. The same amount of each color. I'm gonna get my brush wet, get it softened up. Sometimes there'll be some hardening that happens in between. Just a little bit of water will help soften that up. Take all the water back out. So we're not incorporating water into your paint. And we always start with the lightest color first. I'm gonna take about half of our yellow. Because I'm gonna try and kind of keep this clean first round, I'll rinse my brush, dry it off, take about the same amount of red, and give that a mix. If it's still too red, which mine is very much too red, rinse that brush out, dry it off, and incorporate a little bit more yellow. Now we're going orange. I would still say that's pretty red orange. In an effort to not waste a ton of paint, we're using our brush to mix colors like this, which we've talked about is not ideal. Really, we use a palette brush or a palette knife. So that you're not just taking all of this paint and rinsing it off in your water. Kind of use the side of your plate to kind of squeeze out the extra. That's also going to help keep it out of the ferrule. Use the edge of your plate as kind of like a scraper. I would say this is still pretty red-orange. I'm going to take the extra out, then rinse my brush. I'm going to grab a little bit more yellow. So you can tell our proportions are probably really off now. We've added a lot more yellow than red. And that just boils down to the quality of the paint. I really want like a true pumpkin orange. So I'm gonna just really add the rest of this yellow and then I'll fill it back in. Okay, let's see if this does the trick. There it goes. And I'm keeping my circle tight. I'm not too much bigger than that cap that I covered. Shouldn't be covering your whole plate by any means. Just kind of mix in the pile. If you've ever done any cooking and it'll say, instead of stirring, to fold, that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm kind of folding the paint over on itself. Oops, I don't want that white sneaking in there. Stay out of their white. Okay, that's a nice pumpkin orange. I'm gonna scrape off my extra, so don't waste all that, and then rinse my brush. At this point, I would go clean out my water because that's looking pretty gross and it's gonna taint my future colors. So let's do that and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. We're gonna go ahead and mix our violet now. We're gonna start with our red. I'll replenish that in just a second. And then I'm gonna pick up just little bits of my blue to start bringing up that violet color. Remember, squeeze it out, then rinse. I've already tainted my blue. Pick it back up and get it out of there. And there it goes, purple. Now, some people feel like this purple leans to be a little bit brownish. As we begin mixing tints and shades, we'll have more control over how purple this looks. I also have a quart of purple. If you want me to just add some true violet to your plate, we can do that as well. Still is reading kind of red to me. You know, I'm gonna save this one for my red violet and I'm gonna just add the purple out of the quart because I am not liking how red that one is staying. I think it's just a really intense color. It's not a bad color, it's just not a true violet, which is what we're going for. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and, all right, as far as storing our paint goes, you should have your bag, either that I gave you to begin with or I have replaced it. Write your name on it for sure, and your hour. Open the bag up, like tint it. Slide the plate in so it's got a little bit of a bubble up above it, and seal it shut. Your paint should stay just fine for you until tomorrow. We're gonna just store these on the drying rack so that they don't end up getting pressed one on top of each other, okay?